It's those moments. It's those moments where you're up against something that seems like you can't do it and you cringe forward and you do it anyway. It's the things that might be challenging in your life or difficult, especially when it comes to your career, that you have to just cringe forward and do it anyway. And it's in that moment that you decide, despite the obstacles, despite the things that are really challenging for you to deal with, that you cringe forward and do it anyway, that it really defines who we are as a person. Today, I have a special guest, Shahara Wright. She's an attorney and CEO and business strategist, and she's going to share a little bit more about her cringe forward story and what she's done to overcome some of the obstacles that she's had. Welcome. Let's see if I can unmute your mic. All right, Shahara. So tell us a little bit more about what you do and as an attorney.
So I am a business law attorney. I work as general counsel for small businesses and nonprofit organizations. And really just what that means is I'm the legal department for, for small businesses and nonprofits. And I do a lot of different things, contract drafting, contract review, day-to-day legal advice, trademarks, copyrights, those types of things. Really just kind of whatever my clients need that further serve their business is what we do.
Now, and I know that a lot of attorneys work for larger firms and they, you hear a lot about like billable hours and everything like that. What made you decide to want to work with smaller size businesses to mid-size companies?
I think I just really liked that space. For me, it really had to do with I enjoyed kind of being able to have contact with the business and watch it grow, be more in the weeds of, the day to day in terms of like how strategy and how we're growing and being in that. And so when you work for larger corporations, you're only kind of seeing this one subset, like you either just working in the real estate department or you're just working in the contract drafting department. You're just working in some little subset of that. But when you're working for smaller businesses, you really get to see all sides. And I really like that. So it's more challenging, but I enjoy the challenge. And that's what I like about it.
Well, I really enjoy that you're an entrepreneur yourself. And because you work for yourself, you can really appreciate what it's like and some of the unique challenges that come with coming up with strategy and to be able to plan to legally protect yourself. One of the things I love, we're in the same mastermind program, and Roberto that we work with, he's always like, okay, I'm not an attorney, so don't take this as like legal advice when I'm telling you guys this thing and everything like that. But one thing that I love too is that you have contracts and everything like that. They're already done by you as an attorney that can really help someone that's a entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So Contracts Done Right is a template-based contract and business forms for small businesses. Micro businesses probably more likely to use them that really can't afford to go and have custom drafted contracts. They can be really expensive. And so you can use these forms to kind of plug and play for whatever you need. So we have like website policies, NDAs, non-compete agreements, those kinds of things. We have about 40 contracts that are online and up and ready right now that you can go and purchase. One, or we have collections that you can buy and you can get, up to 9 contracts really if you want. So the great thing about Contracts Done Right is one, it's drafted, attorney drafted. And 2, it's really easy to use. You can, plug and play. And then 3, you get support in terms of just understanding what it is that you bought and why it is that you need it.
So I know when I think about an attorney, I think about being sued, which isn't like, and I have been before, personally and professionally, good times. But you're doing something, and I think that's just inevitable eventually that you're going to get
sued. It's a part of life.
Right? So that's not something that people really want to think about. What is it that you do to be able to really, I don't know, position yourself or convince a client or a potential person that it's important to be able to have that legal protection in their business?
I think that as you grow, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm small and I'll never be sued. And I think that that's kind of pie in the sky, Pollyanna-ish. I guess I'm dating myself with that reference, but
no, I feel you're right there too. So
yes.
we're good. We're good.
But I mean, the truth is that people get sued all the time for anything and for any reason. And the good thing about access to justice is that it allows people without a lot of resources to get to the courthouse. The bad thing about access to justice is it allows lots of people without resources to get to the courthouse. So you can get sued for a lot of different reasons. I think with having legal counsel, it is not, to prevent you from getting sued. I think it's to give you the best chance in court if that ever happens or when it ever happens, that we have the things in place to give us the best chance to come out on top. That's really what you want. Because I can't promise you that you're never going to get sued, right? I can't say that that's never going to happen. It probably will happen. And the larger you get, the more likely it's going to happen. But what you want to do is position yourself that in the best case scenario, you can come out on top of that.
Oh, definitely. What made you decide to be an attorney versus some other profession that you could have had?
So I'm weird, and I made this, life-changing decision at the age of 8, and decided that I wanted to be an attorney. My mom, I think, like most lawyers, somebody in their family told them, "Oh, you make a great attorney. You like to argue. Something weird about you that they seem attorney like." But that kind of stuck with me. I mean, I looked at other things, obviously being a doctor and being a ballerina and all those kinds of things, but I mean, the attorney stuck with my skill set, and so that was kind of my thought process all the way going through from high school to when I chose to go to college, what I wanted to major in, and knowing that I was going to apply for law school.
Definitely. And I know every attorney that I know, that I've interacted with, they've always known that they wanted to be a lawyer.
Yes.
That was kind of like the path laid out, and they're very meticulous, driven people, which is what you want in an attorney.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily that, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I have this idea and everything like that. But at the same time, that you've taken that risk to be able to do that and to be able to go through law school and everything like that. I know you've mentioned to me personally before, why you chose to work independently as and have your own business. Tell me a little bit more about what it's like to be a mother and an attorney and how that's really shaped how you practice law.
It's hard. I mean, I'm a single mom. I've been married, so I was married for about 8 years. So when I was a single mom when I graduated from law school, got married, got divorced. And still a single mom. So I've been through all of those different things, and I think really, the difficult part is that you're trying to balance all these things and be perfect in every way. And I think that's true for all moms, right? Like we're trying to be the best, mom ever, be the best, you know, worker ever, best wife ever, best mom or daughter. We're trying to be the best at everything, and you really just can't. And I think that when we realize that we can't be best at everything at all times, it kind of is soul crushing, to say the least. And so, really trying to find, I don't believe in work life balance, like, that everything is equal. I just, think that you have that mind balance where you just accept that there's sometimes you're going to be great, really great, and sometimes you're going to be really terrible.
Can you
Um,
give me a specific, right?
yeah.
Can you give me a specific example of one of those moments that really brought you to that realization? Because I'm not quite there yet. Was there something that happened that you're like, okay, this is the moment I can choose?
I don't think that there was any one thing. I think that there's just been times that I just realized that I can't be the best, at this particular time. I've been where, my kids were when my eldest, who I had when I was in law school, when I graduated from law school, we had to take this class. All new lawyers have to take this class, kind of CLEs, continuing education, but specifically geared towards new lawyers. And one of the attorneys, an older attorney, male attorney, what came and spoke to us, and he was talking about one of his regrets. And one of his regrets, was not spending enough time with his son, and how, he
Mm.
missed a lot of time with his son, and that his son, had, some bitter feelings about his dad not being there for him. And I don't know why that story really stuck with me. I literally don't remember anything else that was talked about in that CLE like 20 something years ago, but that never left me. So when I, started my own practice and I started, on my way, I knew that I never wanted my kid to be like, where were you? Like that was never something that I wanted to do. So
That's
because
that's
of that,
difficult. It's an intentional decision, right?
right, it was very intentional and I knew that. But the flip side of that, which I didn't understand at the time, I don't regret it, but I didn't understand it, was that I couldn't be fully available for him and fully available for my clients, fully available
Mm,
to network, fully available to be in everywhere. I mean, I couldn't do that. And I was limited truly in the amount of money that I could make, or, in the way that I could make it, because I made the decision to be available for my kid. I didn't really understand the dynamics of that. Like, I don't think I understood what all of that meant, but I knew that I wanted to be available for my kids. So when you're asking, what was that time? I don't think that it was like this, oh my gosh, I can't be everywhere. I think it was just like, I knew I had to make this one decision, and that one decision affected everything else. Even if I didn't know at the time that it would.
well, and you mentioned you had an older son that's graduated from high school and everything like that, and is striking out on his own and everything he's at that different phase, and you still have one at home as well. Looking back, how do you feel about the decision that you made to do that?
I'm great. I mean, one of the things that he can't ever complain about, my oldest, is that I wasn't there. And believe me, he has other complaints, but the one complaint he can't make is that, I wasn't there, I wasn't available. And I want my youngest son to, feel that too. I just have two. They're 11 years apart, just for you guys to listen. So they're like two only children. So they all have their own worlds that they think, revolves around them. So I wanted to make sure that he never felt, and that either one of them never felt that I wasn't available, wasn't there. Obviously, when my eldest was in high school, I had my youngest one, and he, had a lot of needs. He has ADHD and all that kind of stuff. So, I had to focus a lot of that time on there. So I never really got that space to kind of say, okay, I really want to go and work on some more things. So last year, I had a talk with my youngest son, and I said, hey, mommy wants to, kind of do some more stuff at work. Mommy wants to, expand her business. And that means that I probably won't be as available as I had
Mhm.
been before. And he was okay with that, and he was like, that's fine. And we still, kind of spend our time together and have our, mommy days, and we, take our vacations and weird like that. But I am not, at the school, I'm not doing a whole bunch of PTO, not, bringing lunch to school and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not doing all of that stuff that I did with my eldest. But, I feel like because we talked about that, he understood and he was okay with that.
But you show up at the things that are the big events, like the
Yes.
robotics
Yes.
competitions and the other things, and I know that especially, and he was like in a special STEM school or something like that as well, right? Or focused on something?
Yeah, he was well, he's in a GT school, gifted and talented school, and then he also did like a robotics club. So my son doesn't play sports, where he's all tech. So he's into coding and robotics and all of that kind of stuff. So, we have those kinds of clubs and extracurricular activities that, he has to be at. And because of COVID, he's basically been online. So, trying to make sure that he's up and is online and has what he needs to do. And, I'm kind of like a project manager, making sure that stuff gets done when it's supposed to get done. So yeah, all of that stuff happens now. Yes.
And that's a struggle as a business owner and an entrepreneur, and, you're a solopreneur, you've got, or micropreneur because you have an assistants and things like that that help support you in what you're doing as a business, and you're out there trying to be able to, cringe forward, do everything that you can to be able to grow it. What are some of the things, that you've done to be able to kind of adapt your work to be able to balance with your not balance, but to be able to complement your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said before, really, I just knew that this is the way I wanted to go. I knew I wanted my kids to be priority. So everything else had to revolve around that. So, for the longest time, and it's still kind of my rule, but I really did not leave my house after 6 o'clock. I mean, unless it was some kid related thing, but, I don't do night networking. So if have some night networking event, it's not going to happen. I'm not coming. So I don't do that. That makes you miss a lot of opportunities, obviously. but that was just my thing. I just was like, I can't do that. I pick up and drop off at school. So that means that I can't really do like 7 a.m., meetings as well, because, I have to drop off and you can only be at school so early. So, and then my kids have always gone to school far away from home. So, all of those kinds of things happen. So, it just made that I had to work within this particular window. And because I worked within that window, that's when I had to get everything done. It limited opportunities, but then it also opened up so many doors too, because everybody that knew me knew that this is when I worked, and people adapted. I really didn't have problems with clients, demanding my time all the time. They, knew when I needed to work. I mean, I had a couple of people, like colleagues, they call me when I know I'm on driving to take my son to school, and they call me like at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, because I know you're in a car. And so
you're trapped and you're in there. They know your schedule.
Here, I'm not going anywhere. So that's when they would call me, because they knew I was in the car. And it's been cool because people understand and have respected the fact that, I'm a single mother, and I, spend time with my kids, and I don't really have a lot of pushback from that. And so I feel like, even though I can't be anytime and everywhere, the people that know and work with me understand that and respect it.
Oh, and I love that you've attracted the clients to you that support the lifestyle that you have. And as an entrepreneur, there's like that pressure to be able to, grind. I hate that term, because I think it's possible to have that success in life without forcing your ideals and your values out the window. And you value that quality time with your family. And as a single mom, that you've still been able to create that, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think that you have to understand that there's maybe some things that you just can't do. No, I don't have that $1 million business, but that wasn't the goal for me. That wasn't the importance for me. Really, my business has always been to provide a life for me and my family. That really has been what the goal is, and I've done that. And so, understanding that sometimes you kind of get that, envy, when you're seeing somebody else and they're like, oh my gosh, they have this, $1 million, $3 million. Oh, I want that. But then you realize your life is not built for that. That was not your priority and your value. And you talk to them and you see some of the sacrifices that they made, and it's not a good or bad, right or wrong. It's really just that those are the choices that they prioritize. And you realize those priorities didn't line up with my priorities. And that's why things are different for me as opposed to them.
Oh, definitely. And I'm sure with some of the people that you went to law school with, that, you scroll to Facebook and you see the feed or LinkedIn, and you've got the people with the Instagram filtered versions of their life,
Yes.
putting it out there. And that's not necessarily how it is. Yeah. Oh, I love what Nicole's saying here. She says the comparison trap is a beast to overcome. What a great perspective that you have on that.
Well, thank you. Yes. Thanks, Nicole.
So, and that's definitely something that's up that you battle against, or at least I battle against too. But I love that you're very clear. This is my vision. This is my priority. This is how I'm going to spend my time. And like, you are a boundary queen with just like, no,
well, with that,
this is what I'm going to meet with
always. Trust me, I have some boundaries that need some more boundaries that need to exist. But at least with that part, I have together. Yes.
So, and I know that you mentioned before being a single mom and spending a lot of time focused on your boys with like athletics and what their needs are with their academics, and home with COVID. What have you done to really create that time for yourself?
Oh, wow. I think with COVID, in a weird way, that shutdown allowed me to start doing that, because prior to that, I honestly did not ever really make time for myself. And I was telling one of my friends, I used to like live in my car, like, going from, I spent more time in my car than I spent anywhere else. Like, we were going to this event and that event, to soccer, to swimming, to, robotics, to coding, like wherever we were doing, like I was always in the car. So, and we ate in the car, like that was just like literally my life.
Like the French fries in the minivan seats, like that. Yep.
Just like, from how much time was I in the car? And so when COVID hit, and obviously we couldn't do all of those things anymore, I think that was the first time really that I honestly just got to like just sit and not have to be anywhere, did not have to do anything, didn't have to, it really just gave me a time to reset. And I did not even realize that I had never done that. I didn't even know that that was something that I was missing. So now, as things are starting to ramp back up and, back to school and, soon we'll be having more in-person things with, his activities, my son's activities and things like that. Like, okay, where's the time that I'm scheduling for me? Where's the time that I get away? Maybe it's not once a week. Maybe, I'm planning a weekend trip somewhere. I'm scheduling time with my girlfriends, those kinds of things that I'm like putting it in the calendar and saying, you need to do this, at least this one thing for you. So even if, you go get your manicure, pedicure, okay, on a Friday, I don't have that much stuff to do, got to pick him up at 4, maybe I could go leave at 2 o'clock, and go get my
Oh
feet done.
yeah.
Like,
And
those kinds of things. Yeah.
yeah, giving yourself permission to be able to say, you know what, this is what I need. Brene
Yes.
Brown talks about permission slips and stuff like that, and physically writing out, okay, I give myself permission to be able to have quality time connecting. Have you seen that kind of shift your perspective or your business as you've taken more of that time for yourself?
Oh yeah, I really feel like it's weird. So I really feel like for the first time that I've just really have accepted like and come to terms with everything in my life in a sense. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but just accept like this is where I am. This is what my life has been. This is where I want to go, and taking myself from here and saying, okay, this is what I want to do and this is how I want to move forward, and being very clear about that. And I think because I've had to take that time for myself and kind of sit down with myself and think about these things, it's given me a really new perspective, because I used to be like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff I haven't accomplished. And I still feel like there's a lot of stuff I haven't accomplished, but it would weigh on me. Like, I was like a big L on my forehead, like, just like, you haven't done this and you haven't done that. And you said by, 40, you were going to do this and you're almost 50. And all of that kind of stuff was weighing on me. And I had to say to myself, hey, Shahara, you lived a life that a lot of people haven't lived.
Mhm.
You've experienced things that, a lot of people haven't experienced. And you did a lot of things without having knowledge and answers for a lot of different things. So then your place where you are is just where you're supposed to be.
Oh,
And
I
then
love
having
that.
to forgive myself, for not having achieved whatever thing that I thought I was supposed to achieve, and say, okay, well, you're here now, let's reset. Let's think about some of those goals. Let's think about some of these things that you said you wanted to do, and figure out, do we still want them? Do you, still want to move forward? What things are, in your way? Like, that's really what I'm thinking about now, is like, really, what do I really want to do? What things have I felt like have been holding me back? And how can move past that so that I can achieve really what I want to achieve? And that's kind of the place that I'm in now. And I think because I had that time to really reevaluate, that is giving me an opportunity to think about that more.
Oh, I love that. And if people, because there's lots of attorneys out there, but I believe
Yes.
that people connect with who you are, not just what you do.
Hmm.
That when people know, like, and trust you, like Bob Burke talks about, that they're going to choose to support you in your business. Can you give us a website address so that people can connect with you and hire you as an attorney?
Sure, you can go to therightlawyer.com, and that's right, WRIGHT. So therightlawyer.com is my website, and that's for me. You can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram is the real right lawyer, because somebody else took my handle. But
Right?
I'm bitter
That's
about
the
that
whole,
one still.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always like, you got to own your name as often
Yes.
as possible. So thank
Yes.
you. And I'm going to share a little message with everyone before I go today. I loved our opportunity to be able to hear from Shahara and what she has done to be able to not balance, but really focus on what she values the most. Because what you value the most as an individual and as an entrepreneur is what you'll manifest back into your life and into your business. And when you're putting yourself out there on social media and telling your story and who you are, remember that your voice has value. Your message has meaning, and you deserve to be seen and heard. Next week, I'm going to have the opportunity to share a conversation with Diana Alt, who is a career growth coach, as well as Ebony Gibson, who is a community leader and marketing specialist and activist for local social issues. I appreciate you and what you do. Remember to cringe forward and create.